This game, man. This game. Right here. How can I say this nicely? This game is fucking phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to talk about it. Welcome back to After the Credits, Ghost of Tsushima. Before we get into the thick of the video, let's do a little housekeeping, okay? First and foremost, if you've seen any of my other videos or live streams, you may notice something a little different about me today. So I had a little bit of a fuck up with my razor when I was trying to trim the old facial hair, and unbelievably, somehow, remarkably, at the age of 30, I still find a way to fuck up my beard in such a manner that I just can't leave it. So I've got to take it all off. So this is what we're left with for the time being, okay? So let me just get the jokes out for you guys so you don't have to do them, okay? I'll take it on the team here. Genetics have given me the worst jawline in human existence, and that's my mom's fault. You know, it comes from her side of the family, okay? So I know I got a little baby chin, and I know I got a gobbler down here, okay? I was born this way, can't do nothing about it. Do I like what's going on up here? No. No, not at all. Not even the littlest bit. But we're gonna get through this together, you and I, one way or another. You know, it'll grow back, maybe in a couple videos, hopefully. Sooner than that. But for now, this is what we got. So let's kind of push that to the side and deal with it. Second thing, if you watch the video all the way through and you enjoy it, please consider leaving a like down below and commenting your thoughts on the game, on anything you want to comment about. I would genuinely, greatly appreciate it, as it helps the algorithm push these videos out to more people. And that would be great if that happened, okay? Just don't leave any comments about my facial hair, okay? Because it's going to hurt my feelings, and then I'm going to cry. Nobody wants me to cry, I don't think. Unless your name is Jason, Kaylin, Larry, JD. Those people will probably want me to cry. But everybody else, no, don't do it. All right, enough bullshit. Let's get into the game here. So right off the bat, first thing we need to talk about, just by looking behind me, this is the most beautiful game I've ever played. I don't think any game compares, nothing comes close. The way that the grass moves in the wind, the leaves blow around, just the whole views that you come across in this game. There was so many times where I would go to like a spot on the map and I would just sit and look at the environment. I never do that. I should do that more. But this game, like, it makes it a mandatory thing, okay? It's the most gorgeous game to have ever existed. Rise of Rome looked great on Xbox One. But this game, bananas, okay? Really good. I mean, nobody can disagree. What an incredible looking video game, man. Oh, shit, it's good. So that's the obvious point. Let's talk about the story, which is also fantastic in this game. Just incredible all the way through, from beginning to end. So we're not going to spoil it. I know this game is, who knows, 10 years old, and probably who knows now. I don't have any clue. It's old at this point, but it's not my objective to spoil the game. I want to make these videos, so if you haven't played it, you can hear general thoughts, make up your own decision, and play the game yourself. And if you haven't played this, you need to. It is so good. Ghost of Tsushima is set in feudal Japan, and you play as Jin Sakai, the son of Katsumara Sakai. I said that wrong. Sorry, close enough. But essentially, your father gets killed right in front of you when you're an adolescent by bandits and thieves that have taken over Tsushima Island, and you are then raised by your uncle, Lord Shimura. Lord Shimura teaches you the ways of being a samurai, teaches you about honor, loyalty, all the things you want to be when you are a samurai, and all of the codes of conduct, so to speak, the samurai follow through their adventures. So the game opens up with a battle between the samurai and Mongol forces on the shores of Tsushima Island. Now, the Mongols absolutely decimate all of the samurai in this battle, including yourself. Jin. Jin is rescued by a thief, essentially a rogue member of Tsushima named Yuna. Yuna becomes your main companion throughout the game, and she rescues you from the battlefield, nurses you back to health, and gets you back on your feet. The only other remaining samurai alive is your uncle, Lord Shimura, and he has been captured by the Mongols and their leader, Kodan Khan. That sounds right. If it's wrong, I'm sorry, but it's got to be close. I don't know. Something like that. I should do research. I really should do research and take notes and do these better someday. I don't know, but I should. We won't refer to him again because in case I'm wrong, I don't want to keep fucking it up. So that I think that's his name. We're going to go with it. So he is captured, and it becomes Jin's journey in Act 1 to basically push the Mongol forces back to get to the temple to rescue his uncle. Now, the thing with this game and the main kind of tension point that's going to carry throughout the entire game is the fact that Jin is samurai. He follows a strict code. If you fight other people, no matter who they are, you give them respect. You fight them face to face. No surprise, no sneak attacks, no surprise attacks. Just a straight up battle where the samurai are trained to just be better. No doubt about it. However, as I mentioned earlier, he was rescued by a rogue thief named Yuna, and through his progression in Act 1, he starts to realize that since he is the only samurai against all of these Mongols, he needs to look into different combat strategies. So he starts to take lessons from Yuna as far as things like sneak attacks, poisons, bombs, all of these things that are totally against the samurai code. And throughout the entirety of the game, you play a Jin character that is struggling between maintaining his code as a samurai and just simply doing what he needs to do to push these invaders out of his land and to rescue his uncle. And I mean, what a great storyline. How they came up with this is beyond me, but it's a fantastic motivating factor for this game, and it just kept me locked in the whole time. It's just awesome and amazingly thoughtful, incredibly unique. Not something I've ever seen in a samurai game. There's not a lot of video games that are set in feudal Japan like this game is, and they really capitalized on it with a great plot that just keeps you engaged throughout the entirety of the game, and I think it's one of the strongest points this game brings. So, just to kind of fast forward a little bit, at the end of Act 1, you do end up rescuing your uncle, and the only reason I bring this point up as an important point is your uncle learns how you were able to rescue him using these different combat strategies that are definitely against the samurai code, which only builds that tension and makes it stronger. And that tension keeps going and keeps getting worse and keeps getting worse and keeps getting worse as the game goes on. And man, it's a great dynamic. It's a great way to build those two characters up. And it's a great way to bring Yuna into the fold as well as kind of your mentor from the other side, or the dark side, as they could say. But it's just a fantastic thing, and it's a masterful story. It's one of the best gaming stories I've ever experienced, without a question. Like my shirt, by the way? It's a pretty cool fucking shirt, dude. Another thing I want to mention that's fantastic, the sound design in this game is incredible. Nothing like swords clanging against each other, hitting shields, and just all that stuff works fantastic in this game. Music's great, just perfect for the setting. All that stuff is top notch. Fantastic. Now let's talk about the combat. So this is a divisive point of contention for this game in particular, and this is why I don't think this game is perfect. I think the combat's lacking, and I'll explain why. So essentially, in this game, you have multiple stances. So if you're attacked by a gentleman or a Mongol rather, with swords, they come at you and you have a sword stance. Now, when they come at you with their swords, what you do is you hit Y. It's kind of a heavy attack, but it's almost a posture break attack. So you hit Y with sword stance against swords, and it'll break their posture until their health bar will essentially crack. At that point, you would work in your X attacks or your light attacks to kind of chop through the enemy. And this cycle repeats for every single enemy weapon type in the game. So there's a shield stance, spear stance, a sword stance, and a brute stance. So No matter what enemy you're facing, you're just going to want to switch to the stance of that particular enemy, do some heavy attacks, break their stance, flash through, slice and dice them, kick them off, and then you're going to be approached by another guy, switch stance to match his stance, and vice versa. So it's really rock, paper, scissory in a way. It gets a little repetitive. This is a long game. It's a very long game, especially if you do all the side quests in the game, which I highly recommend because all the side quests accumulate at the end of the game and just make for a very, I mean, all the side quests are fantastic as well. The whole game is structured so beautifully that if you play this, I really recommend going through all of the mini stories as well with the side characters for a great big payoff at the end. But since this is a very long game, that combat of the rock, paper, scissors style combat does get a little repetitive as the game goes on. I don't have a solution for how this could be made more enjoyable necessarily. I'm not in game design. I just know that it wore on me a little bit. I also would have liked to have seen a little bit more limb decapitation in this game, this is a pet peeve. This is a little minor thing that doesn't matter to anybody but me. But when I'm using a katana, I want to be able to like go through and kill people and have an arm fall off, or because I want my blade to be sharp as shit. I want it to feel like I'm slicing dudes, and the sound design does help that. But you never see any decapitations until you go into this one particular fifth stance that you get at the end of the game. But at that point, it's kind of late. I would have liked to have been able to do limb decapitations and things like that earlier in the game. Maybe we'll see that in the next game, Ghost of Yotai. We're not going to talk about the drama behind that shit. I think it's just best to leave that out of the conversation in general. I'm going to play the game, even though I'm completely kind of against all the things that people are bitching about that game. I'm kind of on the side of the audience, but just leave that shit out of our video games. I'm still going to play it. We'll see what happens, but hopefully they increase that a little bit in that next game. I don't know if they're going to go away from the stances necessarily. Like I said, I don't know how to fix that, but it is kind of repetitive in kind of a not so great way. The other thing I want to quickly mention is this game is, as my friend Jason put it, essentially an Assassin's Creed game done better, and I can't agree really with him more. It feels like while you're playing, it kind of feels like an Ubisoft bloat fest where you're kind of running from spot to spot on the map, liberating all of these different areas throughout the map to clear the Mongols out of the territories. And I do agree with that fact. It does feel a little bit like that at certain times. However, this game was just so good all the way through that it didn't stop me from playing it. But you do get that feel a little bit while you're playing the game. So if you're not a fan of that, don't let that discourage you necessarily, but do understand that that is a part of this game in a way, and you're going to end up spending time running from camp to camp to kind of clear out areas. But that's something I just thought was important to note. The other thing I'll mention as well is I did play through the Iki Island DLC. Iki Island is really, really cool. I recommend going through it. The timing for this DLC is a bit interesting because you do get some upgrades that will help you in the main game itself, and you get access to Iki Island at the very beginning of Act 2. However, it is a very difficult area because this area in particular adds enemies that go berserk and empower their allies, so they are much harder to stagger, so you pretty much have to prioritize the war criers, which is an interesting thing to add. But the main problem is it adds a bunch of enemies that are able to switch stances as well as you. So, you might start by hitting a guy that has swords out, and then you might pull a shield out, and you have to switch stances to kind of counteract that, which can really kind of disrupt the flow of the fight. And that's intended, and it's a nice touch. So it's nice to have those abilities, but the enemies are more difficult. So I recommend, if you want to do the Iki Island DLC, do it right at the end of Act 2 before progressing into Act 3. There's one plot hole that I noticed because I did actually go into Act 3, then go back to Iki. I think if you do it at the end of Act 2, you should be okay to get through the area, and that plot hole won't be there. But if you don't really give a shit about the plot hole, do it at the beginning of Act 3, because you're going to want some of the stuff that you acquire in Iki Island for the last act of the game. At least it helped me a lot. But the end of Act 2 is probably where I would say the best time to go to the DLC is. All right, so other than that, that's about all I have to say. I mean, this is a fantastically incredible game. It's almost perfect if that combat was just a little bit better. I'm excited to see what they do with the next game. I think the next game has incredible potential. I really wish we would have saw the continuation of Jin Sakai instead of this new main protagonist they're deciding to go with in the next game. But it is what it is. I'm still excited to play the next game in the series. I think this is a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, please do yourself a favor and play it. If you have PlayStation Plus, it's available in the game catalog. Play through this one. It is so good. It's gripping. It's incredible to look at. Fabulous all the way through, and one of the best gaming experiences I've had in a very, very long time. So, big love for Ghost of Tsushima. Much happier with this than the last game that we won't talk about. Okay? Other than that, I appreciate the hell out of all you guys. Thanks for all the support on all these videos. It means a lot to me. I genuinely can't thank you guys enough. And again, sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. We'll see you guys again real soon. We got a much different game for the next video. So, very different from all the other games I've played before, but spoiler alert, it was a fucking banger too. I've been on a streak with good games lately, okay? But you're gonna want to be there for that. Video should be out around Wednesday of next week is what I'm shooting for, so we'll try to get that done. But other than that, love y'all. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.